Hey there everybody, hope your day's going well. Jacared Old School Gaming here, and welcome back to another Wild Wednesday. Yeah, I'll get some drink here in a minute. But in the meantime, gotta get started on, the Pokemon theory, do Pokemon age when leveling up? That is an interesting question. Honestly, I wouldn't know the answer, just... Yeah, do Pokemon age when they level up? I mean, that doesn't make too much sense, because they get stronger and more powerful, or maybe that's kind of the point. Maybe they're genetically different than humans, and even hitting the maximum level of 100, then maybe they, maybe they can... Do something along the lines of, oh, hey, there you go, or something. I don't know. Yeah, maybe it's like once they hit the maximum level, it's just, okay, well, they're going to stop aging, but they're still just going to be as powerful or something. I don't know where I'm going. I kind of lost my train of thought for a minute, but yeah. Anyway, so, I've fallen a ways behind, haven't even had time to put up the damn shelf behind me yet. Still sitting in the brand new box. Yeah, I gotta get this. Then at least this next Thoughtful Thursday will be pretty quick. So I will, I will get into this and do my commentary and get a move on. So yeah, let's see what the theory is on, do Pokemon age when leveling up? Like yes, no, maybe, or maybe the level is just like a measuring of the strength, and age is just like over time, not over levels. There we go. That finally got my thoughts somewhat in order. So let's get into ProtoMario's video.
Hello and welcome back, YouTubers, to another episode of Pokemon Theories. I'm your host, ProtoMario, and this is the show where we discuss theories ranging from Red being a ghost to why the heck Jinx looks the way she does. Hello and welcome back, YouTubers. I'm ProtoMario, and today's Pokemon theory is over Pokemon aging in conjunction with leveling up. So, it's not so surprising that Pokemon level up when their skill increases. Think about it. Pokemon gets stronger, it levels up. That's how the game works. Now, we need to step back and establish a few rules for this. Firstly, we are only talking about the games. The show does not count, and the manga does not either. So, keep it to the game strictly.
Okay, well, sounds good. So we're talking specifically about the games, where it's like there is an actual measuring of a leveling up. Whereas like in the anime, it's just like, oh hey, if you know this move, go ahead and use it. That's more or less how it is, because they just use like 7 different moves in one battle. Well, I might be exaggerating a bit, but regardless, hell, even in the anime, I think there have been like a few times meeting someone, like I think that one Surfing Pikachu episode, like that Pikachu was obviously aged, like from like the flashbacks to when we see it in the anime, the current timeline of the anime, or what was the current timeline of the anime, yeah. Yeah, that Pikachu had obviously aged compared to Ash's Pikachu. Yeah, so, but yeah, like you said, we're not looking at the anime or the manga. We're looking strictly at the games. But I mean, if the answer is yes, like, what would be like any kind of evidence towards yes, Pokemon do level up? Well, I mean, I suppose that's what we're here to find out. Got like a minute down out of 6.5 minutes, so hopefully at some point there's some kind of at least theory discussion. Hell, that's what we're here for.
In a previous theory, I asked, can Pokemon die? The question posed is, can Pokemon die? And the answer is yes. Now, that posed a second question, can your Pokemon die? And the answer was no. Your Pokemon can never die, but Pokemon themselves can die. No matter what, if you have a Wartortle, it can live 10,000 years, but it won't die. If you get a Ninetales, It can live 900 years, but it won't die. So, the question posed here is, when your Pokemon level up, does that mean they get older? In fact, I'm specifically targeting wild Pokemon. As you know, your Pokemon themselves could be very young or very old, and it doesn't matter because they never die. So age is not a factor. But in wild Pokemon, you can notice that some of them are much higher level.
Yeah, and I wonder what's, like, the deciding factor there. Like, how does, like, okay, like, oh, your Pokemon can never die. Like, how does... But... Okay, so, like, I guess you're going, like, okay, but what about wild Pokemon? Because, like, certain wild Pokemon are higher level. And they're, like, strong. Maybe that's how, like, maybe initially, like, Pokemon got into the world and... people were nomads, farmers, and whatnot. They just kind of wandered around. But then establishing cities, not just establishing cities, but also establishing, like, a certain route, like gyms and a certain route. Like, oh, hey, we need to make sure that that any new trainers go a certain path because, like, maybe there's some kind of government regulation as to, like how, like, maybe some kind of fencing, or like hell, even using natural barriers like mountains and like a crevasse, whatever the hell. Maybe using some things like that, and like kind of like not so much like, oh hey, this is like designated wildland. Just like, okay, let's make sure that the wild Pokemon stay within certain areas. Yeah, like I said, using, like, fences and natural barriers combined to just keep certain Pokemon at certain levels, and then go, okay, well, when new trainers start, they need to follow a certain path, so that way they don't get overwhelmed by super powerful Pokemon early on. Something like that. That kind of, leans into, like, how would the government do that? Well, probably with their own Pokemon, but... Okay, so, like... So you're going into the theory of, like, if Pokemon can die, like, are they, what determines, like, how a Pokemon dies? Well, I suppose that would be another theory. Huh. Yeah, so, like, okay, so if wild Pokemon are, like, stronger, like, as you go along, does that mean they are older, wiser, and, like, maybe... closer to death than, say, like, the earlier Pokemon? Or is that what we're going for? I don't know, I kind of went on a bit of a ramble there, so, you know what, ProtoMario, back to you. Maybe I'll look at, like, the can Pokemon die theory at some other time.
Why is that? Is it because they fight against each other and get stronger? But that wouldn't make too much sense, considering that the lower level Pokemon could easily just fight against each other and get stronger too and become higher level Pokemon. So, does that mean the higher level Pokemon are older? Or is it because they're older because they've been alive longer?
Okay, I think I see where what the question you're posing is. Like, the Pokemon that are higher level, maybe they haven't battled each other, maybe they've just been alive for longer, as such they're higher level and older. Okay, but I suppose maybe that's more like as the cities and the gym route gets established, maybe that's more along the lines of like the animal migration system, that they just kind of like, yeah, we can use certain, like, barriers, whether they're natural or man-made, but maybe, just maybe, make the paths along the migration system just like, hey, if you follow this path, this is the path that the Pokemon use to migrate from, like, one area to the next and next and next. Like, hey, up here, like, let's take Jigglypuff, for instance. Jigglypuff, at least in Red and Blue, can be caught pretty early, like, just before entering Mount Moon, but there's, like, a couple patches of grass. Wait, what's 1, 2, 3, 4? Or is it Route 3 or Route 4? So something like just before entering Mount Moon. There's like a couple patches of grass you can catch Jigglypuff there, and it's a very, very low level. It's such a low level that it only knows Sing, and you have to like throw it out first, then recall it, throw another Pokemon out until it levels up high enough to start learning things like Pound and Double Slap and whatever the hell else Jigglypuff learns in first gen. It's been a while, so yeah. But here's the thing, like Jigglypuff is not exclusive to just those patches of grass. Jigglypuff can be caught later at a slightly higher level, so it knows more than just Sing. So that kind of, maybe it's more like a migration thing, like, oh hey, like these Pokemon typically like start out here, but as they get like older, they just like, maybe it's not so much migration, maybe it's more like they move out of their area, they explore, they find new areas to rest. Maybe like the initial area, hey, it's nice, but growing up it's like, time to leave the nest, literally, and go somewhere else, level, get stronger and learn new things. Maybe something like that. Or it's like, oh hey, yeah, if you catch, a low-level Pokemon, it will eventually be just as strong, if not stronger, than the wild Pokemon later. But if you wait until later, you don't have to do as much work to get, so that way it actually learns something to attack. Yeah, maybe something along those lines. That sent me off on a bit of a ramble, so yeah, back to you.
For example, if breeding a Jinx would create a Smoochum, then how does the Smoochum evolve if it evolves with friendship into a Jinx? So how are there wild Jinxes?
Well, okay, I don't know, like, what, because, I just barely started 2nd gen, still need to grind everyone up before heading south to, whatever the hell, I want to say Azalea, but I could be wrong, so, yeah. Yeah, so, like, okay, maybe it's not always friendship, but more happiness, because I think that's, I don't know, is it, I honestly don't know, is it measured by, is it measured by friendship, or is it measured by happiness? Because I know, like, I have done my research for 2nd gen, mainly to know what Pokemon to catch where, and there's, like, a haircut place in Goldenrod, I think. Yeah, there are certain things that can increase happiness, which certain Pokemon need a certain level of happiness to evolve, which is more of a... It's a number of factors, like how long it's been out of the box, and how many steps you've taken, and how many battles have won. It's like an invisible counter type thing, where it's just like, hey, once you reach this level of happiness, then evolution, hopefully. Oh, hopefully. Yeah, but is it really friendship, or is it more happiness? Because happiness can be like, oh, hey, here's, like, something that makes a Smoochum happy. Like, maybe it's a... I don't know what would make a Smoochum happy, just like maybe running around and, like, chasing a cotton spore. Because, babies are very, very easily entertained. Maybe a Smoochum just, like, runs around the forest chasing some kind of a cotton spore and just laughing, having fun. Then all of a sudden, poof, well, like, and evolves into a Jinx. Maybe something along those lines.
No, just think about it. Now, obviously, there's ways around this and stuff like that, but it's a good question to pose, You have some Pokemon that are in their 60s and 70s. Cerulean Cave is a good example. Why are those Pokemon so strong? What makes them so strong? Is it because they're old? Is it because they have the experience? Because they've aged so much? And when you encounter wild Pokemon that have evolved, but due to a stone, or some type of connection with friendship, or leveling up, who leveled them up? Who helped them to get stronger?
I suppose that would also raise the question of how is level exactly determined? and how does it actually get measured? Because, let's say you catch, 3 different Rattata. They can each have their own individual stats. Like maybe one has a slightly higher attack, the second one has a slightly higher defense, and the third one has a slightly higher speed. And how maybe they're all caught in the same area, but they all have slightly varying stats, as happens. But like, I suppose like, I don't know, maybe it's like the level of technology, like. I know I've mentioned this many times, but taking a gigantic Pokemon, putting inside a tiny ball, yeah, maybe the level of technology just like computes the different stats of the Pokemon, whether it's like attack, defense, speed, whatever. Maybe those factors can be measured, and then like the level of technology would compute it into a way that any human, at least 10 years of age or older, can understand. That would actually make a lot of sense, 'cause, like I said, especially given the level of technology.
Was it the Pokemon themselves? Did they level themselves up? But then, that presents another question and another theory. So sticking to the theory at hand, how is there a separation between a Caterpie that's level 2 or 3 and a Caterpie that's level 7 or 8 in the wild? How does it level up? Does that mean that Caterpie's older, or what happened? And does a high level Pokemon mean that it's extremely older or just slightly older? Because there is no way to really determine a Pokemon's age, there's no real way to determine if a leveling up will actually age that Pokemon.
Yeah, again, like I said, maybe it's not so much as like age or like strength. Maybe it's just like computing the numbers in a way, like through the Pokedex, through like the Pokedex display. Just okay, this Pokemon is a certain level. It would have to be more of a like number of factors, just like okay, all these stats together means the Pokemon is this level. It would have to be like of course it'd be like okay, the Pokedex scans it, then like goes like wirelessly to the nearest supercomputer. The supercomputer processes it and then sends the information back to the Pokedex in a way and displays it in a way that a human can understand. And of course, that's like ding 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 done that quick. Explaining it out takes a little bit more time. Because like you said, even in the same area, like a level 2 or 3 Caterpie versus a level 5 or 6 Caterpie. Well, you said 7, 8, but by that time a Caterpie should be evolved. Just like a few difference in levels. Like, what is really the difference? Like I said, it's just like a compilation of like the different measurements, and then just like, oh hey, it's it's this level, and But I suppose that would raise a question of like, when Pokemon hit certain levels, they at the very least they ask to evolve. You can stop it, but how would you determine like where leveling up is? Not just through like the happiness or friendship or whatever. Like, how does a Pokemon determine when it needs to evolve? Because it does happen at certain levels. So, that's something else that's interesting. But yeah. Back to you once again.
But one thing we do know for a fact that we have these wonderful things called rare candies. Rare candies allow your Pokemon to level up instantly, bypassing the need for quote-unquote experience. Experience is what you earn from battling a Pokemon. When your Pokemon fights another Pokemon, for example, you have a Beedrill and you fight against an Onix. You beat that Onix, but it was really difficult. You learned from your experience and you leveled up. That's awesome. But if you feed that same Beedrill a rare candy, you'll level up without fighting that Onix. So the problem is that if you feed them rare candies, they don't get the effort values that they would get from fighting that Pokemon. Meaning that you can just level up your Pokemon literally within minutes to level 100 if you have enough rare candies. So that in fact would probably mean he does not age time-wise.
Okay, I see what you're saying, that, with rare candies, yeah, like, if you have enough, you can definitely level up Pokemon very, very quickly. So, I suppose, what would determine, how does a rare candy provide the experience to level up? Or maybe it's just like the level of technology of the world. It's just like, hey, like rare candies, at least legitimately, rare candies are, well, as the name implies, rare. Yeah, so I don't know. Yeah, that kind of raises the question, like, if because you said a Beedrill versus an Onix. Well, let's say a Beedrill versus an Onix, or a Squirtle versus an Onix. A Squirtle's gonna have a lot easier time than a Beedrill. I mean, obviously, because versus a Rock type. Like, should Beedrill get more experience for that and get a higher level than Squirtle, or is it because, like, the way the experience is measured in the game, like, all Pokemon would get the same amount of experience once defeating that Onix, regardless. Well, I mean, apart from traded Pokemon, which get a 50% boost, but technically it's still the same. It's just like, okay, because of the trade, it's like a boost in experience. Well, yeah, I suppose that raises the question of what determines the experience for a level up. I've only got a minute and a half left. Well, less than a minute and a half. I don't know. I suppose this is more just a discussion rather than, like, an answer to a theory.
Though those rare candies could age him physically and mentally and spiritually, but not time-wise. You could have a 1-year-old Beedrill who's level 100 and its physical condition is much more aged due to the fact of the exposure of rare candies. Same with stat boosting items. You could have a level 10 Beedrill that's as strong as a level 20 Beedrill with your stat boosting items and things of that nature. So, age, it's hard to pin down in Pokemon. That's one thing that's for sure. Your Pokemon may never die, but Blue's Raticate is still in the grave for some reason. But that's just a theory, and this is also just a theory. So, the question, guys, and I need your opinions in the comment section below: do Pokemon get older when they level up? I'm ProtoMario, and I'm signing out. Thanks for watching, guys.
Okay, so I guess the answer, like, do Pokemon age when leveling up, I suppose that would depend on how they level up. Like, maybe a Beedrill that's leveled up with rare candy doesn't age, whereas a Beedrill that actually battles and gains experience does age, in a way. And again, like, the whole rare candy thing, like, they are very rare, at least legitimately. So, again, it's probably more just like the level of technology. Although I suppose that kind of begs the question: where does rare candy even come from? Maybe that's a theory to look at one day. I don't know if you would have that, but anyway, yeah. So, like, do Pokemon age when they level up? Maybe it's like maybe it's more of a perception thing. Like over time, everyone ages. Maybe even Pokemon. But and then like maybe even like an older Pokemon. Maybe just like how Tracy's Scyther is very old. Because every time it uses Swords Dance, it's like immediately tired afterward and needs to rest. and how like that particular Scyther was actually beaten out of its like nest group of Scyther by a younger, stronger one. But then again, that's the anime. We're talking specifically about the games. So, like, in the games, do Pokemon age? I guess some do. Like, you did mention Gary's Raticate again, but honestly, I do not think that Raticate is even dead or anything. I think my personal theory is that the rival switched it out for something a little more like variable than just a normal type. Don't get me wrong, Rattata is very powerful, but it doesn't have like the variation like certain other Pokemon have, like Onyx or Beedrill or what's a really good water one? Goldeen Seeking. I think he does use. No, he uses Alakazam, right? I don't think he uses a ghost type or anything. Huh. But, he does have, like, a variety of Pokemon, unlike all the other trainers out there. Yeah. Yeah, so, like, do Pokemon age? Yes, but maybe not to the point of, like, super old age. Maybe it's, oh, hey, and hell, maybe maybe being in a Pokeball like slows their metabolism in a way that they just like kind of like pause their aging while in the Pokeball, and then like they're out for an hour, so they age for an hour. Like every day they would age for 1 hour, so they can live a lot longer. Maybe it's not so much aging when leveling up; it's more aging when like out of the Pokeball and actually doing something for a short time. Yeah, but anyway. I ran on quite a few rambles with this one. Yeah, I mean, the original is like 6 minutes and 25 seconds, so the full length with my commentary is probably going to be a bit longer. So, yeah. Anyway, I've got to get on Thoughtful Thursday. Well, actually, I got to get on laundry. It's been a little while. Let's just leave it at that. I have plenty of clean clothes. It's just that the laundry basket itself, finite space. I started laundry just before recording this, so that way I could record it, and then I don't know. Depending on, I'm gonna go check on the laundry, and then either move it to the dryer and then start that, or something else. Or maybe just come back up here at this and then do that, because that'll be enough time. And anyway, I'm rambling about something that has absolutely nothing to do with what I just talked about. So I gotta get on Thoughtful Thursday. At least Thoughtful Thursday will be a quick one. Then the comments, and then I can move on to whatever's next. I will see you there. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to smash the like button. Subscribe if you haven't hit that bell so you can always be notified whenever I upload another video. And as always, have fun.